On October 12th, Sky Nicolson will be taking on Raven Chapman in a fight that's going to be the first women's world title fight in boxing in Saudi. And it'll be on the undercard of Beterbiev versus Bivol. Let's talk about this exciting matchup, Sky Nicolson and Raven Chapman. In one of the most highly sought after matchups in most recent years, finally Artur Beterbiev will take on Dmitry Bivol in an undisputed showdown October 12th for light heavyweight supremacy. But on the undercard of that is another historical bout that's going to take place as Sky Nicolson comes to the ring to defend her featherweight title. And she is looking to take on a strong challenge from Raven Chapman. This is going to be Saudi's first Women's World Championship bout, put on, of course, by Turki Al-Sheikh and his promotions for the sport of boxing with Riyadh Season. This has also been a great run for the sport of boxing in putting on the most competitive matches that we have seen since Turk has got involved in the sport. He's got promoters who at one time you couldn't even get them together in the same room, let alone produce co-promoted cards. And that brings these two fighters into the fold for women's boxing, because they possibly would not have been facing off as easily as this if it were not for these men to come together collectively. In the case of the champion, we're looking at Sky Nicolson, who comes in with her record of 11-0 with 1 KO. She's strong, she's a good boxer, and she's taken on the likes of Chapman, who's 9-0 with 2 KOs, but who has a very strong orthodox style, who brings the fight to her opponents. Neither party is afraid to take on quality opposition. Sky has talked about facing the likes of Amanda Serrano and wanting to see the best of what the sport has to offer right away. And of course, Chapman has looked to show everything in the ring. In her fights, she's known as a bruiser, boxer, puncher. She will wade in behind strong right hands and hooks, uppercuts. She looks to pound on her opponents. She's not looking just to score and get out of the way. She is a physical presence, and she likes to present herself as such. When she battles, she looks to exchange fiercely and with an intensity that is not often displayed in women's boxing. And her technique, though she can be wild at times, is pretty refined in what she does as she comes in and closes the gap between she and her opponents. In the case of, when you look at Nicolson, she is a consummate southpaw boxer with great amateur experience, and she does something specifically well. Sky can control distance very well. She keeps her opponents at the end of her right-handed southpaw jab. She's able to draw that line, the imaginary line of distance between she and her opponent, and catch them coming in at the end of her shots. She's got great mobility, and she can shift to the left or to the right equally as smoothly as possible. And she gets her shots off from distance to mid-range very well. Now, what she hasn't shown is if she's able to fight on the inside. And I think that we're going to get that answer in this fight when she faces Chapman. That's going to be something that'll be very definitive because Raven will bear in. She closes the gap very quickly. She gets in with her hooking shots, and I hope that she understands in this fight against the southpaw boxing Sky Nicolson, she's going to have to be mindful of her defense, meaning protecting herself coming in, because once she's compromised the distance of mid-range, that's when body shots are going to have to come into play. If she's able to incorporate that on Sky, she could put Sky in a position that she hasn't been in thus far in her 11 fights. And that makes for a great contrast of styles. You have the consummate boxer against the consummate puncher, and somebody is going to have a trade-off in this situation. When you're talking about Sky, what I've noticed about her last couple of performances, what she has been able to do is show some pop on her punches. Now that is a game changer for her, because if the pop on her punches is real, and it can come from well-placed shots, turning your punches over properly, and sticking them with shots that they don't see, Sky becomes that much more a dangerous fighter because she can place her punches very well. And that's what I meant a moment ago about talking about her being able to fight on the inside, because with what she's able to do from a distance and mid-range, the completion of her arc and growth as a fighter will be able to display what she can do in close quarters. However, those close quarters are going to be dangerous against Raven, because Raven knows how to fight in there like that. She can be rough on the inside. She can be engaging. She can also bring something out of her opponents, whether it is the will to compete with what she's doing or the discouragement that you're not up for the strengths that she has. Now, Sky has been known to drop that left hand in there at mid-range, and she has hurt and shook her opponents with that shot. What comes along with being able to hurt the opponent is confidence to stand behind what you're doing. And I believe with each fight, Sky Nicolson is getting better at that. So all in all, I expect this to be a very competitive fight. And on Riyadh season, we're going to have to look at Raven as a real challenger for Sky Nicolson. Will she be able to pull it out? It really depends on her ethic and her ability to stay busy. She's going to have to close that gap. She's going to have to punch in volume, and she's going to have to apply that pressure. But something is telling me that Sky will be ready for this. She seems primed and full of confidence that she has arrived on the scene for a reason. And I love that about these young fighters who are willing to test themselves and their contemporaries around them. So I have Sky pulling this one out in a close one, but I see her becoming victorious. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know what you think about this historical matchup for women in Saudi. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.